let's just do that. Theoretically, I'm live. And I want to see, like, later on, I'll watch this back, and I just want to see how the audio. I mean, it's going to be really crummy because it's basically one phone to another phone, but I still want to see it. Yeah, so I'm live on YouTube. Let me adjust something. Oh, I can't change latency once I'm alive. That's all right. I'm just going to play. I see, because I want to do it, you know, if you speak on here with a bunch of people from Twitter, and then, you know, you can maybe show them something on live stream if you're talking, you know what I mean? So I'm not really doing anything set. I'm sort of just playing, but it's to kind of give me ideas, I guess. I like that. They did, a lot of people have been using, I don't know what little app or program it was, but, for those little animations, and it's not even animations, it's like filter effects, you know what I mean? But I happen to see it, and then I put it on one of my paint overs, and I kind of liked it. I'm like, okay, there's some lulls, and I think if I tighten the editing and cut out some pieces and stuff like that, I think I can actually use that to some decent effect. All right, what is this? Let me drop all that together and lower this. Oh, yes, and I think it's Niek, N-I-E-K. Forgive me if I do not know how to pronounce names, but obviously you're free to speak.
Hi. That's actually, for first, it's a good way to say it, because sometimes people say Nick immediately or something like that. So it's a Dutch name, so sometimes when I have to explain, I say, like, think of knee.
Yep.
And just put a K up behind it, you know?
Oh, okay. So then I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, so it was pretty close.
Right on. What are you up to?
Just doing some digital painting.
Oh, digital painting?
Yeah, just breaking my mind over lines and stuff and styles.
What program?
Just filling my Friday evening.
What program are you using?
At the moment, Clip Studio.
Okay, I never use Clip Studio. I heard good things about it all the time, though.
It's pretty sweet. I especially like the part where it's one-time buying.
Oh yeah. That makes all the difference to me.
That's when I love things. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of pay once. Emperor, I have to do it by hand, but you're going to be invited to speak, so feel free. If you just want to listen, that's cool too.
But also, just currently, I'm switching between Krita, so Clip Studio, sometimes also Affinity, but mostly for document making. It's just a mess of programs.
Oh, Iruz. Thanks. I'm doing something really weird, Iruz. I have the live chat from Twitter, and then I'm also live streaming YouTube. So I have no idea how the sound is going to come in when people on Twitter talk, but I'm trying that out. So Iruz was in the YouTube channel. So I'm talking to two groups. I'm like, this is the time to experiment. I'm like, it's midday. Maybe a couple people show up and we'll try it out.
Where you get multiple chats in two different groups.
Yeah. Hey, in this day and age, like, I'm like, okay, all this stuff is available, so try it out.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of you've been a digital artist long, or like what's the story?
A little bit of a mixture. I also do, of course, miniature painting. You actually Empire. You actually did a dry cut of mine once for the paint over.
Oh wow! Okay.
Probably it's been a while already. I mean, these years they go by so fast.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, why? I had 1 year of college. I'm like, I'm already in October of the second year. Okay, great.
Yeah,
great. It's a lot of pressure. That's how it goes fast. Yeah, but I'm dabbling a bit. So sometimes I do more digital. So I'm also again experimenting with painting landscapes in So analog, so it's a bit of a mixture.
Yeah.
And now I'm basically exploring a bit of a more artist-like, at least the sketchy ways of like Ellen Lee or John Howe, but also Muka. So for paintings for inspiration and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to get it from wherever you can.
Exactly. And so working my brain in doing it.
Yeah, and that's what, like, whatever, me, I'm like, I haven't drawn in forever, so on the YouTube, I had a little sketch and I wanted to put some ink on it, and I figured, well, I'll mess with that and try this out.
Yeah, it's great fun. But currently I'm working on like a very small Wacom tablet, and so I have to be very careful with my pen strokes, because otherwise I'm just going wild, so it's like a bit cramped for my hands.
What frog?
But my other tablet is like, there's such a delay between when the pen line is set, and it's so annoying.
Oh, so, thankfully, yeah, I'm glad I don't have really any delay, or it'd kind of be driving me crazy. Mechanical Frog, when you edit your videos, what program are you using to edit your videos?
The SDC.
Huh.
Or what the name of that translates to. Well, it's a really pretty nifty video editing suite that didn't cost very much. It's always nice when they're good and don't cost very much. That's always a sign. Yeah, the SDC video editor, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I was just using a little one on the
version. You can get a free version, but the paid one was like $20.
Yeah.
And it just has everything I need and more. So.
Yeah,
perfect. $20 isn't a lot. No, pretty great actually. Has everything I need.
Yeah, that's what I use on the iPad. I just use this LumaFusion, and that was, I don't know, something like that, 20, maybe up to $40 or whatever. I doubt even that, but it's working for me right now until I like learn more and all that. But I have a lot to learn, so works for me.
I was doubting to get Clip Studio, but then there was a sale a few months back, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. It was €50, €45 anyway, but then with the sale, it was like 20, 24. Okay, I'll get it. You got me. I'm sold. Got me this round. Yeah, you've got me this time. Digital painting app.
This, what did they call them? Now I don't have it up on Twitter and I can't pull it up. Someone, this is dangerous. And earlier they brought, what did they cook? Oh gosh. Tinnies, pennies, pithies, tiffies. I don't even know what they were called, but it almost looks like I don't know. It was like a chocolate bomb thing that I know I would like. And now I'm just thinking of some dessert food or whatever. I never heard of them before. Emperor, what's else? I think Emperor's just on listen. In case either of you who aren't speaking, you do have to be on a phone with the app. Unfortunately, you can't speak on a PC. Maybe one day though.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I wish you could. I wish it was on there, because that would be where I would put it, not on my phone. Like it's always the bummer with these different apps, but I do dig this format. But I just, I wish
it's a great format.
Yeah, it seems to be working for me, and I'm like, man, I'm trying it out, and just kind of, I don't know, see what happens. It's been meeting some interesting people and that stuff, and this day and age, I'm, doing the self-employed, do a little studio or whatever I'm doing, so it's just good to get out there. As much as I like hiding away from everybody. Like, there's more money to be had if you actually go engage with people, and you know what I mean.
missing the same. I had here some regulations got lifted slightly.
Okay.
And there was a party, so there was Rotterdam Pride, and there was a party. I was like, no, did I miss all this partying? And I'm not sure. And I was somewhere in the city, and at a terrace, and I'm like, I'm close.
What country are you in?
The Netherlands.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
I'm living in the evening at the moment.
Ooh, the Netherlands.
You're in the future. So
yeah.
Yeah, so much future that is dark already. No spoilers. I won't tell you spoilers. But so this party, and I was like, oh yeah, getting to know people, getting to see people again. Like, oh, maybe, just maybe. So I went and I saw some performances, and I was like, oh, it's 5:15 now, and then it was 12:05, midnight. And I'm like, okay, so that was a good thing. I missed it clearly. Seeing people, not secluding myself in my room all the time.
Yeah, that's what, for me, when the whole, whatever version of lockdown we're in or whatever, it's just the more I went without seeing people, the more I didn't kind of want to see people. So it's partly, I'm like, dude, especially this fall, I started like, okay, force yourself, go out, do some stuff, see some people before you like turn into a shut-in for no reason.
Yeah, it's so weird because you think you wouldn't mind, but then you actually are in a situation again with people, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I have that, I have a meme thing in my head where there's this face that goes, that I think was a TikTok or something of a woman tasting some weird Coke or drink or something, and she looks like, and then again it's like, no, I'm not sure, maybe, not sure, maybe. So that kind of face, like,
Interesting.
But yeah.
What games do you play? You play any miniature games?
Yeah, I play Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
Mostly at the time, I also play a lot of Middle Earth SPG.
Oh, all right.
So I quite enjoy the game. I've still got armies I need to finish. Some Gundabad forces, an Erebor dwarf army, even a great company lying in metal miniatures that are still needing to be based and stuff. I want to do a 40k, crusade.
Yeah.
Because I like narrative a lot.
Yeah, I don't know much about that crusade narrative system. I know, like, because a lot of people like the narrative format, and I know they released it, but I haven't played any 40k in a long time, so I don't know kind of much about that. But I know a lot of people are enjoying it.
Either, but I hear good things about it, and I think they copied or at least borrowed a lot of the elements for the new Path to Glory for Age of Sigmar. So
yeah,
I'm quite interested in seeing what it's all about. So yeah, and that's a bit of the games I play. So
Netherlands. What do you watch any like sci-fi shows or like do you watch any of that stuff?
Yeah, lots. I'm currently waiting. I just recently, of course, the news about that Russell T Davies is returning to Doctor Who was quite interesting. And
I didn't know that one. I thought you were going to bring up that they were remaking Babylon 5 or something, but I didn't know that one.
No, it was a whole both BBC and Doctor Who official channels all shared it that they will be returning for the 60th anniversary.
Okay.
As well as the series beyond, so that's quite interesting. But recently I finished Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass, more the horror, a bit more horror.
Oh yeah, I'm watching that now on Netflix, right? That's pretty trippy.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I'm like on episode 4 or 5 or something, so don't spoil it for me.
I won't.
It's called Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Yeah, I think I've seen the trailer for that. Sounds familiar. And it's from the same
Hey,
director
Emperor.
of The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh no, I just said hi to Emperor because I had never spoke to him before.
Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty
Hi,
good.
Emperor.
What are you working on?
My house. Also important.
That's a good hobby.
Yeah, sadly, that's destroying my other hobbies at the moment. Though I'm getting a lot of paint practice done, so hopefully my model won't look as bad when I'm done.
What games you play?
Well, because I am a loser and all my friends don't do that, so it's kind of hard for me to get any games. Last game I played was a traditional 1,000 points game.
Okay.
I'm very basic. I do the guard.
Oh, nothing wrong with the guard. They got a lot of cool stuff.
Hell yeah. Catachan? Oh.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff. I love all those tanks.
I loved all their back in the days when they had their little like, and they probably still do, but they're like little fire teams of 3 for the heavy weapons.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
You can do a little cool stuff with those. I saw this one 3D print for a 3 fire team. It was like a sandbag, a heavy bolter position.
Yeah. They had some good ones come out, like, you know, they had their different. I miss the old Thud guns. I wish they still had some of those. But then again, I haven't even played in like 20 years. So what am I saying?
Better late than never.
Exactly.
Take it from me. Yeah, that's great. I did really like the look of those Militarum Tempestus Science from a few years back. Actually, they're quite interesting. But I'm feeling they could be expanded more. Like, it's a very interesting way to go with that great swarming force. They're a great army. You can do a lot of cool stuff with them.
I haven't played. I gotta have to learn a little bit more about Age of Sigmar. I saw a lot of people say positive things about Warcry, and I was up to a game place where they were playing some Warcry in that. And so I'm going to just have to look at, you know, compared to, I mean, the last time I played any fantasy battle, it was 2nd edition, or it was the first big boxed edition. That was the last time I played.
That's a while ago already.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
The 90s or something? It had to be in the mid to late 90s.
I probably wasn't even born 1979. So now 1997. I had this latest weekend.
Yeah.
What was it? Was that 2nd edition?
I don't know. Yes, because they had the fantasy battle, but then when they released the box set, I don't know what the name or whatever was. You know what I mean? So it was like, but it was that box edition, you know, when they were trying to get it all popular. And I don't know if they did that one first or the 40K one, because they were both about at the same time.
I think they did fantasy first.
That's what I kind of want to say.
Because back then fantasy was kind of like the big thing, and then that's when they moved over to sci-fi. Because you know the genre started moving towards more sci-fi.
Yeah, you are right too.
That I do kind of remember. Again, that was God, it was 20. Holy shit, 20 years.
I know. Don't remind me.
I remember that. That's during my time.
Yeah. I know, dude. That's what creeps up. And I'll talk about stuff, and I can't believe it's like 20 years. Sometimes it's like 30 years ago. I'm like, 30 years ago?
I'm 30 right now, so that's scary.
Yeah. And I'll be like, I'll have full memories from like I was watching some like movie from like the mid 80s that I like remember. It was like Golden Child. You know, I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, I remember Golden Child. You know, I watched it, it was like 80, whatever. I'm like, oh my god, I'm old as dirt.
The number one things that I hate is like you know those one things where it's like you're as old as
Oh.
fucking like one thing to where it is like after or something.
Yeah, they did one where like they said from I don't even I'm gonna get it wrong, so it'll be stupid, but they said like from the 1940s to I don't even know what it was. It was like, oh, from the time they did, there was a couple of them. One was, I think they did the show Wonder Years, and they were like from, oh God, I won't even repeat it because I'm doing it all wrong. But yeah, there's something, it was like, wait, say that again, Mechanical Frog?
The Dazed and Confused one. So Dazed and Confused was set in like 1972 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Oh, and they said if like
I wouldn't know.
Wait, what was the one too about what was the one in the 70s show? They're like that 70s show, and they were like now if from the time it came out,
show, right?
yeah, from the time it came out, like when it was out in the 90s or whatever to the 70s, it would be the same now as if you released a show called the 90s. You know what I mean? That's like what the equivalent would be.
90s show.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
dude, let me live.
Yeah, you got to watch the 90s show, and that would be like the equivalent of watching the 70s show.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I would actually see that just to imagine.
I don't mind. See, that's the thing. In general, I don't mind aging. I mean, if you're healthy and all that, I have no problem with it. It's like right. In that I've just learned a lot more, and I don't know, like when I was younger, you'd worry about a lot more stuff, and then I'm like, dude, I realize now, I'm like, what was I worrying about with half that stuff? You know what I mean? I'm like, what was I even? You know, I'm like, what was I doing? And you know, I don't know. And so I kind of like, especially over the last 10 years or something, you know, you're putting stuff together. It's like, you know, I'm like nearing 50, but I'm like, yeah, I finally figured out what I really want to do.
It's like, oh, now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. Did it take, you know, most of my life? Yeah. Now,
yeah.
You know, I'm not in a perpetual state of just panic and anxiety.
Yeah.
What?
And that's the other thing. You feel so, I don't know, like I've always been into these games and everything, right? And what cracks me up is I'll hang out with people, you know, my age. They'll be like lawyers, doctors, you know, you're hanging out with people your age. I'm like, oh man, I'm like all into games and like all this stuff. I'm talking randomly to people on Twitter. And like there's people like doing surgery and stuff. It's just kind of cracking me up.
Oh no, yeah, like, you know, for like people like, you know, us, we're just on here while there's people younger than us making millions.
Yeah, I know. You'll see like this YouTuber making like a couple $100,000 a month, and I'm like, oh gosh, here I am. Whatever.
I remember seeing this like this one clown meme where it's like you walk into work and knowing there's a kid on YouTube making $10 million a year.
Yeah.
Seeing the kind of garbage that gets hundreds of thousands of views. It's like, I just bleeding punch. I got like over 300 subs. Like, oh yay, my day is made. Meanwhile, some guy opening boxes and acting like an idiot is getting millions. I mean, good for them though. Good for them. But sure.
Yeah.
Whatever works. Eating food in front of the camera's pot. I don't understand. I get it. I think I get it, but it's. I mean, okay, again, good for them for making it work because.
Oh yeah.
Has to. No. I mean, all props to them. They were able to figure out, you know, what people like, but like that though. It's
Hey, it's what? Yeah, dude. I mean, the one person I knew, like, gosh, I knew maybe like 6 years ago, 5 years ago. I was like 17-year-old, like a friend of a friend's daughter, but I used to help him out with his company and knew her when she was there. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing YouTube videos." I think she was like 17 at the time. I was like, "I'm gonna do YouTube videos," and then cut to whatever it is, 5 or 6 years later, and she's making $200,000 a month as in her early 20s. And that's someone I legit know. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, dude. I'm like, what was I doing with my life?
It's like, man, where did I mess up?
And see, I don't really like.
Something happened.
I'm glad I don't really spend time thinking about other people or what they got going on. You know what I mean? Like right now for me, this has been so fun, and like the whatever the artist empire is getting like a little traction and stuff. So it's kind of like things that I wanted ever since I was a kid. And like now you have the technology to do it. You can communicate with people, and I can start putting more stuff out there and everything. So it's kind of exciting for me, you know. So I'm actually enjoying it. You know, I'm like, hey man, I'll do my little part or whatever.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy how much technology has advanced. From like when I was like 10 years old, for example, I had dial-up. With like internet, literally watching it progress so fast in a short amount of time that's like it shouldn't be crazy how fast that all this happened. It's just
It
so
did.
late that even now we got wherever you guys are, we're literally talking through an app.
Yeah, I know. No, that's what I was saying.
Like phone call.
I had like a long distance girlfriend. One time I remember getting a phone bill, and it was like $600. You know, and like for one person, it was $600 for the month, and it was mass panic attack. I'm like, here I am talking with people all around the world, and it's like free.
Yeah, amazing. I had a friend went to a summer camp when I was a young teenager, and there was a girl there who gave me her number, and I was like over the moon, except it was a different area code.
Yeah.
Subject to the fact that it was long distance, my parents wouldn't pay for it.
Oh yeah.
That's how that young romance ended. It's just so crazy to think that you would have to pay for phone calls now.
Like hundreds of dollars.
Like looking back, you know how mad I was because I would have to like pay my parents back to just talk to someone in another area code. Now I can just talk to people have across the world as long as I get internet. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Such change. This is such change. Bullshit. Like, what the hell?
Why didn't I have this as a kid?
Modern witchcraft. This is hairs. It's amazing. Yeah.
And now it's like that's why now I feel like it's my duty to try to like capitalize on it. It's like, okay, all this stuff is there, and I'm not a like get out there and talk to people, and I want to be famous or I need to be recognized. But for me, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you need to get eyes on your work and when you sell stuff. So you can't like just sit in a room and not talk to anybody and expect to have any amount of success, you know?
Yeah, it's not word of mouth anymore.
Yeah.
It's the effort.
That's what I was telling them earlier. I was like, oh, and I saw those. So I went and I was like, I happened to see like a really popular YouTuber who plays video games. And I happened to click on one of the videos because I was like, all right, what's they're doing? And it was through the year, and he played video games. And in a year's time, he played the equivalent of 160 some hours of playtime in that year. So it basically means he was streaming like 10 to 12 hours every day just for that year. You know what I mean? Not like the years before. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I consider myself to have a good work ethic and know what it takes, but I'm like, yeah, that's when, you know, like you want your YouTube to grow. I'm like, that's the kind of thing that really it takes. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like, he's treating it's like his job, and it's like all into it, and you're like entertaining constantly. So it was a bit of a reality check. And I don't have any big like hopes for my YouTube, but the thing is, it would be nice in another year to kind of like monetize it and maybe make a, you know, even if a couple hundred extra bucks or something. You know what I mean? So
It's something.
this ain't bad. I don't mind this little version. There's no one watching. I don't know how the audio is. When you guys speak, I see the little like sound bar on YouTube. So I'm going to go and listen after and see how bad this is.
Oh, wait, you're streaming this on YouTube now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I just found your YouTube. I didn't know, so there we are.
And I don't, if there was a good way to like, this Twitter app needs the phone, right? But and I have to have two phones because for my streaming on YouTube, I need another one. And then I need one to do Twitter. But I wish I could kind of run this phone through my computer or through the sound system, because now I'm just going one phone speaker to another phone mic. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I wish
that's why it would be great if just the computer could also support this spaces feature. Just support your microphone easily.
Yeah, and so I'll try to figure something out, because I just want to. And again, it goes along with trying things. And I was like, oh well, this way, if someone was in Spaces and I wanted to show them something, it'd be like, oh, okay, I'm on YouTube, go check out, and I'm going to look at this drawing or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So
something. It's nice to find your YouTube now.
Take advantage of all this technology somehow.
Yeah. That's why I'm drawing digital today.
We're not over the hill yet. Some of you are still young too.
Yeah, like me.
Enjoy it.
Y'all got probably like 10 years on me. Like, what the hell? I've been listening and I'm like, oh my god, I'm young.
Oh, well, good for you.
It's like, I don't know what it's like. I know of the stuff, but I've got no idea what the experience was.
What brought you into the hobby?
My boyfriend got me into it.
Oh, right on.
Nice, a man of culture. I like it.
Do you?
I mean, I'm running out of space to put things, and I don't even have anything near an army at this point. I'm just running out of space.
What?
You don't have an army, you have an empire. I got you.
No, I just got a bunch of shit that I thought looked cool.
I literally build a gigantic wall of shelves just to hold all of my crap. So it's like 30 feet of bookshelves. So I feel your pain for running out of space. Oh no, it's not. The part about building a house that I'm just bolting in shelves into the wall so I can make more room. Yeah, that's literally what I'm doing.
I was just saying, anything I don't end up using is going to get shelved. Anything I do use is probably going to have a designated spot. But right now, I'm in a room that's like 10 feet by 10 feet, and I've got no room to even walk half the time. So. Yeah.
What?
That's when you're in it.
I like, and what's weird is I'm a kind of a minimalist as much as I possibly can, in that it's partly because I hate cleaning everything, and that most things don't even bring me joy, so I don't even like things. So it's like really easy for me to be a minimalist, but that's why I'm like, I tend to like, it's like if I have a small space, I can keep it more orderly, you know?
If only that was the same for me. I just leave crap all over the floor.
I think we probably all do at some point.
I mean, no one else walks in here, so it's just my head that'll hit the floor if I tread.
Nah, man, I have major OCD. Everything has to be right in its place and order, or else I just have an aneurysm.
Well, I can successfully put it off and pile stuff on the floor if need be.
Yep, same.
Well, I do have clothes. There's no problem. Like for like little stuff, like I'll put the remotes down on the table, neatly, or whatever.
I end up with, I don't even want to say right now. I have 2 coffee cups, a Red Bull, and 2 water bottles. And so like the one coffee cup and 1 water bottle I'm using, like the other ones just pile up, and I'm like, okay, dude. Like I laugh because I'm like, in my studio space, it's like, I don't know, it's a decent sized room, but I have a lot. But I'm like, I need like a 50-gallon garbage pail, like one of the huge ones, just so I throw everything. I'm like, how much garbage can I generate in this room? I don't even get it.
I'll get back to you in a week, and then I'll tell you.
Yeah, probably a lot, probably more than I think.
That's why I keep a garbage can in every room I have, because like no matter what happens, it always gets filled up in every room. like without a doubt, by the end of the week, every can will be filled. It's like,
Are you? Who's working? Wait, I can't get your name because of this. Is it Lupa? Lupa, are you working on anything like miniature wise right now?
I've got stuff that needs to be painted and no motivation.
Yeah, that can happen.
What do you run mainly?
I ended up settling on Thousand Suns.
Oh, all right.
I gotta say, the aesthetic really does work. I've got a squad of 10, Armin and Magnus currently painted, and then I've got a squad of 5 that haven't been touched.
Nice.
Good for you.
Yeah. That one's taking up the most space, though.
Yeah, Magnus is. I'm surprised. Like, Magnus was a big model.
Well, I've got, poster boy Primarch of the Ultramarines over there, and it's like, goddamn, did you have to be that big, Magnus?
Yeah. I didn't want to know what they cost.
It must be a disaster.
They must be expensive too.
Man,
so when I bought him, I was still picking what I wanted. It's like, okay, if you're gonna pick Ultramarines, pick something that actually has, a name to it. And I bought that for $60 on Amazon.
Okay.
Magnus was 110 when I bought him. Since then, he's gone up to 160 and then back down to 100.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gone up and down lately. I've been keeping an eye on it. Not like I need a second one. But
that's the backup.
If some toddler walks in here, they lose their arms if they go near that shelf.
You don't have a lock in the door?
Yeah, I do. Problem is, I'm not in the house 5 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have an animal in here that does need attention while I'm gone.
We'll train the animal to attack the toddler.
I would not put that past him. However,
children like Magnus.
See? Listen, okay, you ruined everything. All right.
Okay, yeah. You tried though.
I mean, his heart was in the right place, but he could have got me a text.
He's confused, but he's got the right spirit.
Right. Yeah, well.
Did you?
We saw where that led him.
Who else? Did you play video games or anything before you got into miniatures?
Actually, the minis were first, and then I went to the games afterwards.
Really? Okay. So when you saw them, you just kind of thought they were cool?
Yeah, so my first one, and actually she's the one that needs to repaint the most because I've, evolved my painting skills since then. My first one was actually a gift from my boyfriend.
Okay.
It was Celestine. It was Saint Celestine.
Okay.
And she needs a brand new fucking paint job because she's ugly shit compared to everybody else.
Yeah, it is an awesome model.
Yeah, she really is. But eventually I got Space Marine. I've got some of the Dawn of War games. I just haven't played them.
No,
since I switched computers.
Yeah.
Because I have to re-download everything. And oh my god, I don't want to re-download everything. It took me 3 hours to download Horizon Zero Dawn the other day. And I was the only one on the Wi-Fi with a brand new computer. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're not re-downloading all of that extra stuff.
Great game, though.
Okay.
Continually resisting the urge to start a sister's army.
Dude, they are, to me, they're one of the most 40K feeling armies right now because I see them too. I'm like, gosh, they are. They got some cool stuff out there. And they're so hardcore.
They do.
Like, the sisters are like the most militant thing to me, and I love all their heraldry and stuff. And I'm like, oh.
They, breathe it. I actually was able to pick up the McFarlane action figures for the sisters. I got both the colored one and the artist proof.
Oh, I was going to get those. I
got one for my son and then repainted it because it comes pretty basic.
Yeah.
Not the artist one, but the regular one.
Yeah, no, I was pre-ordering something for a customer at work, and the SKU number was 2 numbers off from the artist proof one, and I'm like, oh, hold on, I see something I want. Wrote it down real quick, finished the transaction, then looked them up on our weapons store, and I'm like, oh god, I don't need it. And here we are.
What are you? What country are you in?
United States.
All right. I think Emperor. Where are you from?
I'm also from the United States.
Okay, so we got 3 from the States right now. Yeah. We get a wide range in here. I'll have some of these chats, and we'll get people from all over the place. It's pretty cool.
I'll say the internet's a strange thing. I've got some friends that I play some other games with. That we call ourselves like our clan.
Yeah.
We got people from Australia. We got people from the UK, Canada. We got people from all over the place. It's weird to see us all when there's like a big meeting for another update.
Are you okay? So wait, you said you were younger than probably most of us. Are you in your 20s? I don't need an exact age or anything, but are you in your 20s?
I am in my 20s.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. So that means, what is that? So born like in the 90s or what? Yeah.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
Late.
Okay, so if it's late 90s was like, okay, late 90s was a great time.
I was going to say, to give context, I had a typing class in middle school before they cut it from the curriculum, and I learned cursive for all of the year, so that might
Oh, wow, that's right, because I didn't even think about that with the cursive. God.
We hit the curriculum cut my ears.
That's funny. So you were
last year.
Yeah.
Last year of Common Core before Common Core was introduced, I graduated.
That's wild. I love this because
thank God.
In my general thing, it's not like you hang out with too many people in their 20s, so it's cool to hear just from that perspective, because I got some people in Discord and they'll be younger than me, and just like that. What's it like growing up? Because like someone in your stance, you've always had the internet. You know what I mean, or roughly. Even when you're young, you got exposed to it.
Around.
Yeah.
It's been around. Whether or not I've had access until
exactly.
I got older or not, which ended up being the case. We were very much raised with the idea that it does exist and it's very prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the rest of us, we literally grew up with it. We saw it evolve and had to deal with the very infant, annoying stage.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And that's cool. So you just saw it, and that's interesting. So, it still appeals. Like, sometimes I think, well, I'm like, okay, are younger people going to like... they still look cool, and I don't think you can get away from that. I think even younger people think it looks cool. And so, obviously, you're someone you saw like your boyfriend with miniatures and then just thought, hey, this is neat, and ended up getting into it and painting it. So, yeah.
Curiosity killed the cat, and now my wallet runs away every time it walks into my room. So... if these damn rubrics weren't so expensive, I'd have more by now.
Well, yeah. They do. They are costly.
But, yeah, no. Got in, ended up curious, was introduced, it stuck. And here we are years later.
What was your first army and or model?
First one was Celestine, and around that time I started playing the Dawn of War games, like within a couple months. And I was big on the Sisters of Battle, shifted over to Necrons for a little bit, and then realized they're kind of just gimmicky. At least in the game.
Dawn of War was awesome. That was one of my favorite games.
And I was, my boyfriend banned me from playing them because he did not like 4 monoliths running into his base. He couldn't keep me away. And eventually I, did a fair bit of reading in spare time and ended up with Thousand Suns.
Right on.
The aesthetic did help because they look good.
Yeah, they got some cool... a lot of them... For a lot of the design language to me in 40K is... I know they're changing a lot. You're doing Primaris and stuff, but I still think their designs are always like kind of top notch to me.
No, they are.
Hope the Chaos Marines get some love here soon.
Oh, they need some major love and some major...
Well, yeah, after everything that went on with the Primaris, for sure, it's like everyone's going to need to catch up.
Yeah. I would love to see, like, Chaos, Primaris. I would love to see that.
They probably will.
Maybe get one of the armies, like a Khorne army, like specific Marines. That would be kind of cool.
It's like right now I'm just too busy with work and school, so it's not something I can really support on its own. So they're really just sitting there, and I have to clean them off every few months with.
Well, at least you got your priorities straight.
Right.
Yeah.
In my youth, maybe not so much.
Well, at least
I mean, come on.
yours. Mine are in boxes.
Luckily, a majority of these, because currently the non-focus units kind of outnumber the rubrics. Most of those I can literally pack in a Ziploc bag, wrap them in a t-shirt, throw them in a box, and they'll probably be fine. As long as the Necrons don't lose any more damn legs, because I'm tired of finding replacements.
Every once in a while, I'm watching the YouTube stream, and every once in a while, someone will like pop in and be like, "What is this mess?" I say, because I'm not like focused on the YouTube. I just literally want to rehear it later and just see. So.
I was just saying, you guys all sound just fine on my end. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, the app works pretty good for that. I was surprised.
Stream sounding alright?
What was that?
Is the quality on the YouTube stream sounding okay?
I didn't even turn it on to hear the volume. I can't even hear it. I'll rewatch it later and just listen.
Okay, I got you.
And then, maybe from there tweak something or whatever.
Yeah, all the After Effects stuff.
Well, just see if it's worth it to try again,
Alright. Do you just stream it live, or do you just record it and...
No, I'm actually... If you go to Artist Empire on YouTube right now, you can see us streaming. I'm streaming this so your voice will appear on YouTube. I mean, I might delete the video or whatever just because it's more like a test, but we're actually live right now.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't hear my echo. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, don't listen to it on there because you'll be like, dude, stop posting on that. Like, turn this off. Because it's literally the speaker from one old Android into the microphone of an iPhone. That's your sound quality that YouTube's going to pick up.
Oh, of course.
Oh, boy, you are live.
Yeah, we are live.
I would look, but I'm doing this through my phone, and my computer's on the other side of the room.
No, it's fine. You're not missing much.
And it means I have to get up, so I don't want to get up.
Oh, wait, I got to invite to speak. Todd, nice of you to make it. I'll send you an invite in case you want to chat with us. These have been going much better. Dude, I had one at like 9 this morning on Eastern Standard Time, and it was basically just to talk to Garfy. And then at one point, there was like 23 people in there. I'm like... I couldn't believe I got that many people in the morning.
At 9 in the morning, crazy.
I do. That's when
That's way before even the sun's up on my end, because fucking Pacific time, Jesus.
Admiral King, hey, thanks for making it. I don't think you're on Twitter. Is there anyone on Twitter? No, probably not. But if you're listening, so... Yeah, Admiral King, in case you're watching this on YouTube, first, I apologize for the quality. Second, what I have here is there's a whole hobby chat on Twitter, and so it's a whole bunch of Twitter people who can speak. Yeah.
That's me.
Oh,
I'm Admiral.
I'm talking to you on 2 platforms. This is the most confusing mess of all time.
I thought I would just let it ride out. I was like, you know what? I should probably... Let's see where this goes.
Uh-huh.
Those kind of just let them talk.
You're
painting a picture and going, I know this belongs to. Oh, it sounds like it's mine. So funny.
You're probably all part of the worst stream in history, so be proud.
Oh, man, that's cool.
I don't know. I've done some dumb crap with friends in Portal.
I'm making my own history today.
Yeah.
I've been part of a few with friends, and we've done some really dumb shit.
I could never. I was too. I couldn't even. If you like, so what did I just start streaming? The only reason I streamed is because I had time lapse videos of paint overs. I was like, well, I can put those on YouTube and use the content. And then once I did that, I was like, well, let me try live streaming it. And I had no urge to like want to be on YouTube. That's probably why I still didn't even show my face on YouTube. But anywho, I started doing it, and then just like talking to the people, there was a lot of, I don't know, cool hobbyists that I just you know, I had been out of it for so long, and you don't talk to anyone about it or anything. And so just getting back into it and seeing, I don't know, there's like a crazy talent level of everyone involved in that. So I just kind of been sticking with it. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just nod and smile.
What is that?
I'll just go with your welcome.
Is that something you're making, or is that a picture from an artist?
Oh, what was that?
On the stream right now.
On the stream, that's a drawing of mine.
Oh, you drew that?
Yeah. Here, I'll show you the time lapse.
Oh, damn, I gotta go look. Hold up.
Yeah, no, I did
Romantic.
some paint overs for Manic Games, and I hadn't been drawing much. I was like, well, let me start drawing some of their stuff. So I was trying to just figure out how they design their dwarves and stuff. So I was like, well, let me draw some. And
let me put the stream on my TV so I can hear the echo.
Oh yeah, we'll all be going crazy. It'll be like Inception feedback.
Echo as well now.
Dude, how do I adjust the volume on YouTube?
Yeah, just turn the volume off on YouTube and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did you start on mobile in the latest update?
I was shipping a bottle of paint and it fell through out of my hand and went all the way across the room.
Oh boy.
Good times.
Fuck, get out of here. I'm getting out.
Okay, I gotta close that because. Yeah, no, whatever happened in the latest update of the app, I cannot find the volume button.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue with it, so.
YouTube drives me half insane. For what I'm doing, I have to have the YouTube app, the YouTube that you get in the browser, and the YouTube app on mobile. They all do different things that I need, and sometimes I need to access all three different ones. I'm like, why can't you just have one master one like on your PC where it will do everything? Like, but instead they literally have things split up so I can't get to them. It's crazy.
YouTube is a place for difficult people, made by difficult people, even their algorithms.
I'm gonna mute real quick. I just gotta go give the dog some food, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Alright, now's our chance.
Party while the cat's away. Chance for what? What are we doing? I don't know. Just
Wait, my fucking earbuds just died. Hold up.
And then there were three.
All down.
So, how did YouTube get introduced in the hobby? I guess I was walking. Was Stone first?
You go for it.
Alright. So I guess I was like 10 or 11, and I was walking with my mom. I'm from one of the provinces that's a bit more, well, not less, a bit more countryside, even though there's a few cities, but it's divided by a few islands. So we went to a city that had a hobby shop, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then I played this game of Lord of the Rings 3D Battle game. Like, oh, that's interesting. Let's get a box. Then I got a box from my mom. And so I got into the hobby, and then it grew and grew and grew. And then I had lots of Lord of the Rings armies, and then, well, here I am.
So that's what happens. You get one box, and you're just screwed for life.
Yeah.
Little man standing here, Minister with Gundabad, orcs, dwarves. Too much at the left time because I'm also studying. So yeah, that's how my introduction to the hobby.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Oh!
Do-do-do.
Hey!
There's more back. Ooh, nice.
My gaming interest kind of started with computers. My dad is a gigantic computer nerd. His famous story is that he got a job offer from Wang Computer and a job offer from Microsoft. in the late 80s, and he turned down the Microsoft job because he didn't like how they wear suits.
Noobs.
Yeah, he didn't like how they were kind of unprofessional, and so he went to work for Wang Computer, and of course Wang Computer is no longer a thing, even though they have the best Wang Computer name. But yeah, I was always kind of around that kind of nerdy stuff, and then early 90s, my brother came home with a D&D, and my parents went nuts, and no, you're not playing Dungeons & Dragons, you're going to go crazy and jump off the building.
The 80s D&D scare. Some of us had to live it.
So they took that book, and instead he brought home the BattleTech box set. So instead of using wizards and spells, we play with giant stompy robots and shout each other.
At least you got something, so that's good.
That was something. So that mostly BattleTech in the early mid 90s, and then computer games up through the 2000s, and then Warhammer was just like 3.5 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Now, my neighbor came over with a box of stuff from his grandson. He didn't want his grandson playing Warhammer, and he's like, "Here, take this," and it had an 8th edition book in it, and it had a bunch of
Oh, so you got some Warhammer from someone who took it from their kid?
That's pretty hard.
I like it.
Time's a flower.
Yeah.
That's pretty grim dark.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I couldn't play, kid. It gets better.
I hate myself.
That all worked out.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Alright.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Apparently. Well, I've only been doing this for 2 years now? 2.5 years? Yeah? Yeah. I remember seeing in a magazine way back when I was 14 or something like that. I think there were Space Marines and Orcs.
Yeah, probably.
Way back in the 90s, and but I was an army brat, so I always traveled around, always on camps and stuff like that in the middle of nowhere or in other countries. So
yeah,
never really got into it until very recently. I started doing first a couple of board games, then Gasland, and then I started doing Gunpla, painting that. I did some terrain, and then I started buying some miniatures, and then I started painting those. And since the beginning of Marvel Crisis Protocol, I've pretty much got every single one of their minis, and I've painted almost all of them except maybe 10. I think I'm right now.
That's pretty crazy that you did get all of them. That's a lot.
Yeah, well, I got Team Covenant subscription.
So yeah, that's right. That's kind of perfect for that stuff. As long as they keep it within reason, it's good. If they try to extort you and just be okay, we're releasing 100 a month.
Well, they don't get any money until there is a release to send you, and they send them when they receive them. So
yeah.
The problem is the past couple of months there's been no release. The last one was in August. And I'm expecting there will be Dormammu, Doctor Strange, the new one, and everything. So there's gonna be 3 boxes, and it's gonna be 100 and something bucks for the 3 boxes or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna be next month is gonna be hard. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what I've done. Don't really like GW. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. Oh.
I don't think they're anyone's favorite today.
Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. Their sculpts are awesome. The work that they do and the quality of their model is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just not an aesthetic that I like.
Yeah, it's not your flavor.
Yeah.
That's always fair, you know.
Yeah, I've painted 2 GW models. I was saying this morning, it's an Ogroid and Witch Hunter in the Curse CD box. The rest of the Curse CD box is still not painted, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, I gotta go get
yeah,
another.
I started with Gundam, and I kind of like them. I want to go back to the Gundam that I bought at the time and just prime them and just repaint them.
There's some pretty cool ones. I don't know that scene well at all, and but I know some of those models are amazing. And I'm on Twitter, right, and I'll see there'll be like predominantly I think like Japan, and I'll see some modelers from there, and they like it's just not kits I'm familiar with, so it's like they have their own kind of style a lot, and they like unfamiliar kits, and so I'm always like amazed, and I'm like hitting translate on Twitter to see what they have to say.
I love Japanese hobby Twitter. I
did it. Yeah.
They do such amazing stuff.
They do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There is a game called Gamma Wolf by Ash Baker, and it's all about robots. And there's a lot of people, like if you go on their Facebook group, there's a lot of people that take the Gundams. Some of the Gundams are about like the biggest size robots you can get in that game.
Yeah.
It's just robots fighting, and there's different scales.
Yeah.
And they take those and they just like pose them a certain way and then I don't know if they like glue them or something, but
yeah,
they will just make them like a proper mini, but except that it's like 150 centimeter millimeters. Like they're huge, but it works really well, and that's what I kind of want to do. Revisit what I used, because I used to just weather them, making them like a battle. But I'm pretty sure like right now I would just probably prime them and repaint them completely. I think it would be better.
I have.
Yeah, for purposes, it's always interesting to see how far you've gone.
I have so many cords. I have to snap a picture of this somehow. I have 2 phones from these table mount things dangling in front of me. I just had to go get my power cord to plug in my tablet. I have the PC on there's an Alexa sitting there, plus an Apple Echo, whatever their sound thing is. It's just like this nest of wires and contraptions.
One of the other sides of modern tech.
Modern tech is definitely the cords. There's a reason I don't go to that side of my room.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at my desk like, oh, okay, so this cord goes to there, and then there's one for my speaker, and there's one for my multiple tablets, and oh no.
And then there's that pile of cords over there that I don't know what they go to, but I think they're useful.
Yeah, I have, dude.
There's no Bella cord in my room, so that's
why can't everything just be wireless? I just don't understand it.
A charging table.
I'm not going to charge my controllers wireless. That's an absolute disaster waiting to happen. I will take them over, and those controllers are $70 to $80 right now and impossible to find. Not happening.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it on a cord so I don't walk out the room with it.
Yeah.
I think I'm there.
Like, I legitimately have a small trash bin that I just fill with my spare cords, and then I close the lid on it and then throw it underneath like a drawer.
I'm not looking at it. It's not there when I'm not looking at it.
It's not there when I'm not looking at it, yeah.
I know, and dude, I have cords. I seriously probably have cords that are from things from the 80s. I'm so stupid because they're like, don't throw away the cords. And then you would find some stuff like back then too. Some of the cords were half rare, you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, maybe I'll need this again. I remember there was a graphics card called the Voodoo FX, and it was so cool, right? So I put that on my computer, and it must have been 90s. It had to have been 90s. But the Voodoo FX, so then we were just getting cable at that point, but it had a cable into the graphics card. So you could take your regular cable and plug it in. So then you had TV on your computer, and you could just record at will like anything. And the thing that sucked is back then, the hard drive space was so small compared to what you needed for video, but you could still record some of it, you know? So I used to like take screenshots, and it was just so cool. And then once they changed to like the cable off the analog to the digital, you couldn't use it anymore. But I loved that graphics card for the longest time. And the other thing was on, what was it, Windows XP, I think was the one. I never used YouTube that much. And then I had a Windows XP machine for like a long time. It worked great because I bought one. I kept it forever, right? And people were all talking about, I don't know how they were buying music or whatever. And at the time, I think it's still available if you had it. With Windows XP, you could go right on YouTube and record anything. So it was like songs you could just record and then save as an MP3. And I was like, what are people doing? I'm like, you just save them all and like listen to it as needed.
It was like, I can have music for free.
Yeah, it was just like, and it was instant. It was like a click of a button.
That's me nowadays.
Hacking voice, I'm in.
And I don't have any with that stuff. I'm like, okay, I generally like, I'll pay for music or whatever, but a lot of it I don't listen to much. It's like, oh, if I just want to hear a song or whatever, it's like, okay, here.
I mean, now you can literally just Google YouTube to MP3, and you'll get a billion free ad-free sites that you can just, type in the URL, hit enter, and then download it for free at a decent quality.
Oh, wow. We had Napster.
I literally just have to Google it, and I've done it on like high school Wi-Fi, so it's not even something the schools block.
That's kind of funny.
You're not aware.
I'm dead. I was like, believe it or not, my high school band teacher actually taught us how to pirate music.
Wait, we didn't have, I don't think our schools had internet. No, when I was going, I don't think we didn't have internet in the 90s or 80s.
I had a buddy in high school who got in trouble for downloading MP3s in the computer lab. I was like,
so the way we did it is
they were downloading like crazy. Everybody was on Napster. What was the other one? Lime?
Yeah, Lime was huge.
Where we started actual movies and things like this,
so at our school they just switched over to Chrome that year that we learned that. So that means they took all the restrictions off of Internet Explorer without removing Internet Explorer from the computers. So you can look up and download anything on Internet Explorer, completely bypassing all the school security functions.
Freedom at last.
And I don't think they realized that until about 3 years later, but it didn't matter because I was out of there at that point.
For us, they didn't know that you could do that. At the time, it was so new. They had internet, and then everybody figured out.
Yeah, they didn't know how to.
Everyone figured out every way to play with it.
And then after a while, the school went, we're going to start putting restrictions. We're not sure on what yet, but it looks
First.
And then by the time they add the restriction, the kids have already found like 3 different ways to get around it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then we went to
that's what we did.
Email was the next one after that, because then you could just do peer-to-peer or whatever, and so, Oh, yeah.
Like, if you tried to go to YouTube on my high school's Wi-Fi, you couldn't listen to Queen because it was restricted for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah, no, trust me, it was weird. I had like a playlist of 200 songs of like all different artists. They cut it down to 6 total songs, and they weren't even songs I actually listened to anymore. I just forgot to remove them from the list. You go over to the Internet Explorer browser.
my battery's dead, so I'm going to go. Have a great day.
Hey, have a good one, Frog. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
But no, it was dumb. You go on Internet Explorer, you can get any kind of video, no restrictions, regardless of, email account, because they have, the school emails, which was so dumb and nobody used them. It's like, I'm not emailing you through a school email. I'm going to email you from my 3 different private ones that don't have any affiliation with my name.
Yeah, that was always weird to me. My niece and nephew, I think, just recently got out of high school, so 1 or 2, maybe 2 years ago. But they end up doing stuff like, they're like the school email and using their real name and all that. And I'm like, that stuff. I'm like, I don't know. And that's all kids with your real name and you're online and you have your Google. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like old.
Chances are those kids are more tech literate than the people that are trying to tell them.
Well, no, absolutely. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm like, I come from the sketchy internet days, dude. So I'm always like, be a little careful online.
Well, it's like I use
Yeah, my kids got the school emails when the whole COVID shit hit, and they had to do all their online stuff, and so they had a Google account, but it was super restricted.
Okay.
Like emails and everything was like completely locked. And it was a school, and I don't know if they have the school have a special kind of accounts.
Yeah.
But it was like really super limited.
Okay,
well,
good.
Some other stuff that they needed an email for, I actually had to create them an email through my account as, linked to my account.
Okay.
With Google. And I think Google for this, I think, is pretty good as far as restriction.
Yeah.
And the iPhone too, I found that it's really good because they have my old iPhone, and they don't have a phone plan on it. They can only connect to the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that kind of perfect then for that. Yeah.
Every time they need to do something on it, like they want to buy a game, they need to ask me.
Okay, good. So they can't just.
They want to play more than an hour of games. They have to ask me for extra time. My
that's
daughter
a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, YouTube is restricted to certain sites only. Like you can put the age and all this. It's actually not that bad. I found that Microsoft, when I was setting up they had like a laptop for school again during the COVID and all that stuff. Man, the settings on the Microsoft side was just a nightmare to do all the parental restriction and all this. It was really bad. And I think Google for that is a lot better.
I'll say by far the friendliest parental restrictions I've had are going to be the ones on Nintendo products. And I can say this because I deal with these products all the time. Because I have to reset them at work. Is by far the easiest thing to set up. Literally, you sign in one thing, you put in a little bit of information, you tie your email address to it, and then boom, it's locked.
Yeah, their Nintendo Switch are completely locked. Yeah, to my kids, same thing. Like they cannot do anything. They have to ask me every time they want to play more than a few. I think it's 1 hour every day, 4 hours on the weekend, and all these things. It was super easy to do too. Yeah, Nintendo is pretty good.
Yeah, no, Nintendo's probably the easiest to set restrictions on, and the amount of times I've had to go in and remove these things because people don't reset their devices before they hand them to me. It's better than an Xbox with an update, because that will take 12 hours on the store Wi-Fi. No thank you, not doing that twice. Literally, I will just say, yeah, no, this is going to be defective, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here for 12 hours and wait for it to finish. But, no. Parental restrictions, it's the easiest on the Switch, but Google definitely has some good ones.
Yeah, I'll leave that way.
Speaking of which, I have to pick up my kids soon, so I'm going to all let you go and
Pro JG, you have a good day. I'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good day.
Catch you later, man. Have a good one.
All right, see you later.
Friday night. Anyone got any Friday night plans? Anyone who's over here going out, doing anything?
I'm already doing my Friday midnight, so
You did it. You already done it all.
I've already done it. Let's go.
Party. The Netherlands. What's what would be what would be like a comfort food dish from the Netherlands? Like something that's like like a typical, just like the family would make or something.
Well, I wouldn't. I can guess. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of dishes, but I mainly don't really eat the typical Dutch dishes. Because I'm just in the city where I get everything,
Yeah.
So, I think maybe things like a good soup or like a stamppot.
Okay.
Like mashed potatoes with different kind of things in it.
Yeah.
Can be considered like a comfort food, or just potatoes with meatballs and some veggies or something like that. I think that can be considered that. Yeah, or maybe the more flat pancakes, like the crepe-like pancakes.
Okay.
Pretty nice food to eat.
That just made me think of crepes. I want a crepe.
Yeah, they're a bit like crepes, a little bit more rustic.
Yeah, I loved potato pancakes. I did a lot of potato pancakes. I like those.
I've heard a lot about them, and people say they're so good. I never had them before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but things like that.
Good to know.
If you ever want to try something, make a stock pot. It's just mashed potato with like veggies, diced veggies, mostly, and then some piece of meat next to it, or
that's pretty. No, that's pretty typical. Like, yeah, makes sense to me. When I can't travel there, I at least want to know from people what they eat. Like what's something non-typical, or just like what a standard interesting meal is. You hear a lot of different answers.
Yeah.
One of the biggest tricks to traveling.
No, but the thing is that I'm in such a city, with lots of different cultures and food cultures. I'm like, I could make the typical Dutch stuff, but then again, there's like good taco around here, or a good Suriname.
It didn't start like there wasn't much. Like if you just like the standard place, I'm like in Michigan in the USA, and maybe you started getting more stuff around the 90s. Like they did start with like, there'd be Mexican, but I don't think there was much like Thai food until maybe 10 years. There was some like 15 years ago, maybe a little more, but it was the one Thai restaurant that you have to go drive a half hour to get to, So they did some more of that. Around here, I still want to go. Like I want to look up like a Korean barbecue place. I haven't had. I was in Vegas. And I had a good Korean barbecue, and you bring out a bunch of meat and stuff, and you fry it for yourself in front of you.
Amazing, yeah. I've won here in the city. It's amazing.
Yeah. See, and so it's a little hard to get a hold of here. So I'll look up a place. I was trying okay, I got to look up a place. I want to go to a Korean barbecue again.
Yeah, those are amazing places. I really love it. It's just the thing that you're just sitting there, behind a grill plate, and you're just doing it yourself.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I like more restaurants should be like that, where you can make your like they'll give you the stuff to make it, but you can make it to where how you like it. Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's something you can find back in lots of cultures,
Yeah.
Here in the Netherlands, we also have our own version. It's gourmette. just also a tiny stove, mostly electric or some small flames, and there's a little gourmet meat and tiny versions of like a tiny hamburger, tiny meatballs, or very stupid stuff.
I never did. They have one that's a hot pot, and that one's kind of Asian too, where it's like boiling oil or whatever, and I never did one of those, and I'm like, oh man, I know I would like that.
I would also like, but there's not many places here. I hope some place opens soon that does it. But, I would also like to try that. It's amazing. Those amazingly big pans, and interesting food. I like to try.
We got a lot of places like that around me. There's,
nice.
Well, it's kind of what I get for being where I'm located. But we have, at the very least, within 5 miles of me, so basically between me and where I work, there is this whole area we call the veranda. And it is, you've got French cuisine, there's Thai food, ramen, you can get...
Oh, wow, yeah, so you got a good selection. Yeah.
On top of that, it's this whole shopping center. You can even, I say rent, in reality it's a time trial. You can rent, ping pong sets and, cornhole and all that stuff.
Oh, very cool.
It's an awesome place. But it's this whole strip mall. There's a movie theater and everything, but the food there is what me and my friends always go for. They even have a popsicle bar.
So you're kind of spoiled with the food scene nice and close.
And I still gotta throw my bits halfway between me and work.
nice though. Good food scene makes such a difference. I find.
Well, right now around here, what sucks, the bummer is the prices. Like going out to eat, the prices went so far up over here that I'm like, oh gosh, I had to cut back a lot because I'm like, it was climbing like, I don't know, it's probably up like 40-30% cost, if not more.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Me and my friends generally go Dutch, so it's not more than $15 a person.
Yeah.
Love hearing it saying.
That's how we call it.
The legacy. Here we have pretty great business support, even support of restaurants and stuff. So most prices could mostly be felt like small price hikes, and sometimes not even. Some people, we had a lot of the takeout and order takeaway business was really booming during the hardest parts of lockdown here.
Yeah.
So a lot of restaurants just really, especially the places with very good spots, they did really well. But also new spots, like they just opened during the pandemic and did well, and they survived.
Yeah.
So that's quite something. I live in a pretty dense city, so I'm Rotterdam, one of the biggest.
Oh, you do? Okay,
ones.
yeah, Rotterdam.
So also a pretty big harbor city, of course, and constant in development, architectural wise, and etc. So there's always some new places opening. I believe there was even the amount of spots that closed was less than the amount of places that opened.
Okay, good for you.
So that's even in the street next to me, there's a lot of food spots. So I'm spoiled. I'm really spoiled. I also can easily go for a poke bowl when I want it.
Oh, they finally got one around here that I can go. And I was to Hawaii, I don't know, a little over a year or something ago, but I just happened to bring that up. Oh my gosh, I ate so much poke and like just fish. It was ridiculous. And you go in Hawaii, you go to the supermarket and they will, like, their deli counter has like all kinds of poke all in there and you could just get it. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, because like here you go to the grocery store, I can't get that here. It's not enough of a fish culture and I'm like inland, you know what I mean? And so like they don't just have a whole thing of poke. And I was like, oh my God, that was awesome. I had it so much when I was there.
I also
in our area, you can actually find some pretty decent Asian markets, and that is the best place to go if you're looking for very specific things because they have it.
Yeah.
And generally, of course, there's always Daiso, but there's also some others in my area that I don't really normally frequent because I don't cook all that much.
Yeah.
But I've got friends who do, and they've got everything.
Oh wow, nice. I love it. I love food. I love enjoying new places.
Yeah, same. That's what I did. I was over here. I went to Vegas a while back, and right, the whole plague breaks out, and my buddy, I haven't we haven't done any like serious trip or I don't know over 20 years, right? So the plague breaks out, and what does he say? He's like, "You want to go to Vegas?" And I'm like, "What are you thinking?" But then I was like, dude, that's like the dumbest thing. And then I was like, okay, but here was the thing. Everything there was like less than like 50% capacity. So it was all capped, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm like, once I get to Vegas, I'm like, I don't have to hang out with anyone. I'm like, I know me, I don't even like big crowds. So I'm like, I won't go anything. We ended up going. I was so glad I did because yes, you had to mask up and all that, but nothing was crowded. A ton of the stuff was open, and then it's kind of like I've been to enough places in America, and I'm like, I was turning into almost like the food capital because a lot of like famous chefs and whatever are all opening places there, and they're all really close, so you can get a ton of great stuff like just right there, So I went to like Morimoto's and I went to all these places, and all we did in Vegas, like I didn't gamble much, but it was just planning where to go eat all day. So it was like two perfect meals a day, and then whatever. So that was like our whole trip was like figuring out where to go eat.
Yeah, I had some mashed potatoes as well here. It's amazing. But I do it by accident because I love food too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it. I'm glad that many of my favorite spots survived, and that's really nice.
And I got a bit. What, tomorrow's Saturday? I don't even know what I have going on. We'll see.
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend. Take it as it goes.
Yeah.
Now mine are all rolled out. Like my days, I'm so wrapped up in this little AE thing and getting stuff done that it's kind of like go, go, go. So pretty much all my days are like the same almost. I have to get out a little more, like because it's going to be winter. So I think one of my friends wanted to go golfing tomorrow, and I probably should have. But and the other thing is, like, I work from home all the time, kind of like self-employed, so your time is sort of your own. But so like I used to typically I would take off Monday, and then I would go out to breakfast on a Monday, because when you go out to the restaurant, it was only like senior citizens. So it'd be like me and a couple senior citizens, because like most normal people, like a Monday morning, they're all going out to work, So I go like, breakfast 9 a.m. and it was like nice and slow. And then I would go run errands on my Monday, and do a bunch of stuff because things were a lot slower on Monday morning.
Nice.
Do not like this texture.
If I wasn't working 5 days a week, 8 to 9 hours a day, I'd see sunlight at some point. But I work in a mall. When I say I don't see sunlight most days of the week, I mean it.
Yeah.
One of those big malls. I mean, I guess there's mostly big malls, but
it's a decent sized mall, but it's kind of one of the only ones in our area unless you want to go to like a bigger city. I'm not like, we're not San Francisco.
Yeah, but you still got a big mall.
You still just walk down the street and you're in a whole new plaza or something. Yeah. I'm in a decent sized mall. Honestly, the pandemic's kind of screwed up our hours.
That's what I was saying. The last time I was in a mall, it was a little funky even, and it wasn't that long ago because they were still like in weird hours and all that kind of stuff.
We're still in weird hours. So my store is obviously, countrywide corporate, but every other store that's not in a mall has normal hours again. They're like 10 to 9, 10 to 10, depending on the area.
Yeah.
The mall stores, we literally law of the land is the mall's law. So, we close at 8 most days, and then Sundays we close at 7. And I had a guy last night, because I closed last night, and it was like, oh, I'm going to look around a bit. Sir, I closed 5 minutes ago. Please leave. I thought you were open till 9. Not for the last year and a half, man. Sorry.
Yeah. Because I seen some of those. I went to this big outlet mall, and it was weird because it was only like, it was a huge outlet mall. It's probably like the biggest one in the state, but like I would say 70 or 60% of the stores were closed early, and only a few, or maybe even less than that, were like open late. So it was just like this weird thing where the mall, it was like this gigantic outlet mall, but it was still mostly empty with only a couple stores open, and you're like kind of walking around and no one's around, so it was just pretty wild.
Weird, yeah.
No, my mall, if you don't follow their hours, it's technically a lease violation.
Yeah.
They really cracked down on that because the mall had seen declining traffic before the pandemic. Online shopping's beating every brick and mortar retailer out.
Yeah, they were all getting whacked.
Regardless.
Yeah.
We're all getting whacked by Amazon, right? But if you violated your hours more than once, you would get a fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times I've won arguments with like the district managers over, I cannot close early to save on labor unless you want to pay the fine.
Yeah.
Is hysterical. Like literally, it's like, oh, I just need you to close at 7. I don't close for another hour. Well, I need you to close at 7. I'm gonna get a fine. Okay, never mind. You can close whenever. Like I'm just a key holder, and I've got apparently enough power to make the district leader back off. So.
Got the power. Oh, good deal. Nice chatting with you all. Does anyone have any websites or YouTubes or anything that we should check out? You got anything? Twitches?
Well, I share my Facebook Twitter, so I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm too busy with work and school. I can't keep an online presence up.
Yeah, well, that's good, though. At least
my Fridays.
I'm glad. Thank you for spending your Friday here and spending a little time with us.
Yeah.
Talking
I got
hobby.
some homework done while I was talking, so
You managed to get that done too? Good deal.
Right. A little bit of distraction and all different stuff helps.
I mean, hey, it's better than just, flicking through songs while writing HTML, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen. accidentally copy the URL where you were supposed to copy a whole body text or something. No thanks.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off here, everyone. Nice, thanks for joining, and I'll be doing more of these. So if you ever see me around, feel free to say hi.
Of course. Oh,
yeah, will do. If I got the chance.
Have a
if
great.
I got the chance, I'll pop in.
Thank you very much. See you guys soon.
See ya.
Catch you later.